Hello, everyone. How's it going? Azren, the language nerd here. I'm the owner of the Calgary Language Nerds. My team and I, we teach a wide variety of languages to beginners, intermediate level students, advanced level students, you name it, we can work with you. And welcome to this video here on how to learn another language. This is an important one. We are wrapping up level 2. Woohoo! How exciting is that? Without further ado, let's dive into level 2 and finish it up. Now here we're at hobbies and sports. Okay, this is the final step. We have 18 pages to go. I don't think this will take us a very long time. I think this is going to be a shorter video. I think. We'll see where we get. We'll see where we go. So this next step is about hobbies and sports. Talking about hobbies and sports will enable us to use new words and learn how to express our opinions on a subject. That's fantastic. As usual, we have a vocabulary section here. So you're going to label each of the words in this vocabulary section with the help of your tutor or your language exchange partner. Remember to go beyond the vocabulary that's listed here. There are other words that are going to come in handy, of course, so don't simply limit yourself. You can also use Google, YouTube, or another online translator to figure out how to say some of these words. Just make sure you speak with your language exchange partner or your tutor and confirm that they are correct. The vocabulary list for this chapter is hobby, free time, hockey, soccer or football, depending on what country you're from, American football, baseball, basketball, golf, game, score, stadium, crowd, team, player, music, video games, books, art, movies, and dance. Of course, there may be other words you choose to learn because they matter to you, and maybe you have a hobby that didn't quite fit into this category. Do I want to add something here? I do want to add something here. Yeah, I do want to add a little note here that's just really important. I haven't said it quite enough. You know, when you learn these words, I don't want you just to learn these words and move on with your life. It's important to let me give you a couple activities that are really important that just you can always do these and they're always a good idea. Okay. I want you to keep a journal. Keep a journal. And every day for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, write in your journal using some of the words that you know. Look at your notes and try and use some of them every day, 15, 20 minutes. Write about whatever the heck you want, but write every day. This will help you with a lot of this vocabulary. You can do a similar activity and keep an audio journal using the audio recording function on your phone. Basically, all phones come with the audio recording function. And keep an audio journal. It's a great way to practice. Don't worry if the grammar is great or not good or there's mistakes. That's not really the most important when you're doing it just for your own practice sake. Don't worry too much about that. Just write or speak to yourself using an audio journal and use a lot of these words, right? Like use them. Try to figure out how to use them. It'll be a great way to help you remember. And of course, make sure you're listening to things or listening/reading. Reading might be hard actually at this point in your language learning journey because you're not quite advanced enough to read anything that's super interesting unless you go to like graded readers. I do like graded readers, but let's say the following. I want you to listen regularly to the language and, you know, catch words that you know and try and catch what you can. When you don't understand, write those 10 timestamps down, right? Ask your tutor, ask your language exchange partner. Reading's a great idea too. It's a great way to see a lot of the words and encounter a lot of the words that you've learned in the program by sheer coincidence. I'd probably recommend you read what's called graded readers. A graded reader is where you have something that you read that has been written for your level. So I'd go into Google and simply search graded readers for and whatever language you're trying to learn. And assuming it's a widely spoken language, you should be able to find things that are roughly at your level. If not, you may want to find children's books for really, really young children, like young children, 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, like really little, not 10-year-olds. No, too hard for you right now. 3, 4-year-olds, maybe 5-year-olds at this point. You're still young in your language learning journey, right? And that's going to be another way to get some practice in. So I thought it's a good time to mention that because I haven't placed enough of an emphasis on that here. So there's another language practice section here for some additional verbs that matter for your free time. So everybody has different hobbies and interests. So this should be pretty personalized to you. I would think that's best if possible. Like, what kinds of verbs do you need to talk about your hobbies? Like, what do you need? If I played baseball, I better know how to say play. I better know how to say play baseball. I better know how to say pitch or throw a ball. I better know how to say catch. I better know how to say swing a bat. I better know there's so many verbs that are very baseball specific, and yet they're still really common verbs, of course, right? But learn those kinds of verbs. There's a generic list provided here to watch TV, listen to music, maybe collect something, play an instrument, play a sport, dance, paint, write, read, fix, right? There's lots of generic ones, but personalize this section. It'll be quite important based on the hobbies you have. So speak to your tutor or your language exchange partner, figure out how you'd say these, write some practice sentences, talk about them together, try and discuss your favorite hobby or sport, talk about watching TV, talk about TV shows, practice speaking with them about it, fumble through the words, right? And just make as many copies as you need as a sheet. So there's some blank ones over here, so you can make as many copies as needed. Okay. Anything else I want to say about these? Yes, these are all written in the infinitive. So in English, the infinitive always starts with a to. Of course, in languages that don't have verb conjugations, that won't matter too much. If you're tuning into this, I mean, hopefully I don't think anyone's going to be starting this whole video series on level 2, part 8. I don't think so, part 7 or whatever we're at now. So hopefully I've explained a couple times throughout this course what a verb conjugation is. Hopefully you do know. If not, please Google it. For time's sake, I'm not going to go through it today, and I'm going to assume that you've already come across that in this course that I put together. But verb conjugation is spelled as so. I'm going to spell it on the screen for you. Verb conjugation. There we go, like that. That's how you spell it. Verb conjugation. Google it if you don't know what it is. If your language has verb conjugations, it may be a good idea to learn these verbs in the infinitive. So in a standard form, that way you can transform them into different verb tenses over time. It's not mandatory per se, but it's maybe a good idea for you. And then just make sure you're doing a lot of practice sentences, like write out different practice sentences that use these verbs, right? And talk about them too. Use them in speech, write them. It'll really help you. Try and get flexible and using them in a variety of different types of circumstances. We have some additional language practice here, which is about expressing opinions. So we have I think, I disagree, I doubt, I agree, I know, it seems like, I believe. So speak with your language exchange partner or your tutor and figure out how you would use these kinds of words, right? And again, don't forget to write out different sentences, try talking to your language exchange partner about these. You guys are probably understanding the pattern in this book. I mean, it's a lot of learning a language is rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat for the same kinds of things, right? A lot of it's kind of similar. It's not overly complex once you figure out the patterns and the habits. Like, it just takes time and energy, right? Like, to memorize how to say I think, I believe, I understand, I know, I agree, I disagree, I doubt, it seems that, I feel, like to say those kinds of things and to be able to use them regularly, like and unconsciously per se, like that takes time and effort and continuously using them, hearing them a lot, reading them a lot, writing them a lot, saying them a lot, repeating them to yourself a lot. Like, these kinds of things will really help. And it just takes time. Like, someone asked me how long it'll take to get through this course. Like, they're like, should I just do one video a day? And I was like, well, you could, but I don't think you'll finish all the content in each video once a day. Like, I don't think so. There's a lot of work involved in each chapter, right? And if you do the work, you will achieve your desired level of fluency, but there's a lot of work to be done here. Okay, now we get to the biggest writing assignment in the entirety of level 2, and it is called The Story of My Life. Okay, this is going to be something, and everything's been leading up to this moment here. The entire course has been leading up to this, not the entire course, the entire, well, in a way, actually, the entire course has been leading up to this moment here, but primarily level 2 has been leading up to this moment here. I just noticed another typo. Home life has a typo. I need to fix that. Okay, I'm gonna fix that after. Um, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna write out something pretty long. I want you to write something long, like pages, 2 pages, right? Something like that. As long as you can make it and as detailed as you can make it. And I want you to write out a short text describing yourself or someone else. Doesn't have to be you. Could be imaginary if you wanted, or a real person. It's up to you. Probably you is the best option because you know yourself best. Like what are your daily routines? What's your family like? What's your home life like? What kind of work do you have? What do you do for work? What kind of coworkers do you have? What industry do you work in? What kind of things do you do for fun? What leisure activities do you have? What do you like? What do you not like? What are some opinions you hold dear to yourself? What do you believe in? Like, what do you not believe in? Why do you feel that? Defend those opinions. This is going to be a 2 or 3 or 4 page thing you're writing, and this is going to take you a long time. Get it corrected by your language exchange partner or your tutor. Get this corrected. This is an important task. Don't rush this one. This is almost like your final exam for level 2. Can you do this well? I would maybe even do this multiple times, like do it once, get it corrected, then redo it. Try and just redo it from memory, or try to redo it and reword certain things you said. Like treat this like you're writing an academic essay in a sense, or something for school or university or college. Like take this seriously. This is going to be a really big activity and a great way to review everything you've done in level 2. Um, I discussed this too with your tutor or language exchange partner. Like have a conversation about this, like, and have them do it too. Oh yeah, have your tutor or your language exchange partner write something out too if you want, or have them prepare something. Like that's going to be really cool. Like you'll get to learn more about them. You'll get closer. I'm a big believer that learning a language is about having true, genuine relationships with other people. And this is going to be a great way for you to get to know someone else and build that real connection with somebody who speaks the language you're trying to learn. So don't take this seriously. It's funny. I provided one sheet of paper here, but you're going to need like multiple sheets of paper in the workbook. So I'll make copies of this. Um, and then the speaking practice, I'm actually going to give you 2 speaking practices. One, I just said, I want you to discuss your writing practice, like talk about that together. Do it over like 2 or 3 hours. Like go deep on this, really discuss this, right? Take time on this. Discuss your home, like your routines, your work, your like really dig into this, right? And the second speaking practice is the following. So ask your tutor, I guess they kind of go hand in hand, but ask your tutor or language partner the following questions in your target language and be prepared to answer these yourself as well. Do you play sports? What's your favorite sports? What are your hobbies? What do you do on the weekends? And anything about leisure and things they like to do in the free time. Create some conversation here and discuss those with them. And the video practice. Ooh, this is going to be a difficult one. And this one I actually think should tie into the speaking and tie into writing as well. I think this can tie into both. Um, Explaining the rules to your favorite game or sport. Like figure out how to explain that and find some videos on YouTube that explain the rules of your favorite game or sport in your target language. Whew, it's going to be hard. I pre-warn you, you'll need help from your language exchange partner or your tutor. You're going to need help to understand what's happening. What are the words they're using? How do you say shoot? How do you say score? How do you say pass the ball? How do you say volley if you like volleyball? How do you say smash in badminton? How do you say backhand and forehand? How do you say flick your wrist? How do you say drop shot? There's so many things, right? Out of bounds, the court, there's so many things. And I got to tell you something. It seems like a waste. Well, I could imagine some people thinking, okay, this is like a really hard activity and a waste of time. Let me tell you something. You'd be surprised at what kinds of things you need to know in a language. I've been burned by this um, multiple times. One that comes to mind immediately in my head, but other times too, where I've really had a difficult time explaining like a sport or something. Like I remember in Taiwan when I was in Taipei, like um, yeah, in Taipei, I remember having to, I forget why, but I think we were talking about basketball or something, and I was so hooped. Didn't know any of the words I needed. Like it was so hard. The things that get you in a target language, it's so funny. It's a tangent, but it's an important one. The things that really get you when you're learning another language are the details. They're the details. It's something reasonably simple that you completely overlooked that you don't have any of the vocabulary for. That's what gets you. Like if I had to go today, like okay, let's say like I don't know, like I don't know, like I'm just looking around me for inspiration here. Like let's say I had a leak in my ceiling, okay, and there's like water coming through. And I had to, let's say I lived in Mexico and I had to call a repair company to like talk about this leak and like have someone to come fix it to get a quote, all that good stuff. I'm super fluent in Spanish and I'm thinking to myself now, I would have to prepare for that phone call. I could not just pick up the phone and do it. And I'm super advanced. So imagine me intermediate like that, such a simple thing. There's a leak in my ceiling or my roof. Like you, you won't know how to do it. You're lacking all the words. How do you say leak? How do you say it's dripping? How do you say my ceiling? How do you say my roof? How do you say, can I get a quote? How do I say what time? Like, how do you say half the things you don't know how to say them? Like, it's crazy. So, getting into the details about things that are really important about your life, your work, your hobbies, your leisure, your favorite sports, like the details matter, but not the details about everything. You don't need to go to super in depth about everything, but the things that are core to you, things that are integral parts of your life. You have to be able to go in depth about those things and know all the little words and nuances, even though they're not going to be found in your typical textbook. I'll never forget struggling to explain my work in French and Spanish before my previous job. Like it was so hard because I worked at a franchise and it was just a different kind of position. I ran a window cleaning business. It was residential window cleaning. Like I didn't know any of the words, even when I was really fluent. In fact, to this day, I'm not even as deep of an expert in that vocabulary as I could be, to be honest. I could describe it in surface terms and I'm okay, but not as deep as I probably should be able to. So in Mandarin, for example, that's one of the first things, not the first things, but I learned that pretty quickly. Like I know how to say a franchise in Mandarin as an intermediate learner. I used to know how to say royalties, but I've forgotten because franchises have royalties, and I used to know how to explain that royalty structure in Mandarin, but it's not coming to mind right now. Um, like I could explain stuff in depth because it was an important part of my job and like what I did. Like I could really describe that. So even though no textbook's going to have those words in it. And that brings us to the end of level 2, everyone. So this is the time to do your comprehensive review. This is a heavier chapter than every other chapter we've had. So every other unit level we've had so far. So it's a big accomplishment. Congratulations that you've made it this far. But this is the time before you move on to level 3. This is the time for you to go do a review. Go through all your notes, get yourself, like quiz yourself on different concepts, review, reread your notes, rewrite certain things, certain concepts that maybe like numbers, for example, we talked about them being really hard. So you might revisit and try to learn some more numbers. You don't want to overdo the review because some of you can, I know some of you watching this, you could probably review level 2 until you die. Like I could picture some of you like reviewing it way too much. So let's cap your review at 3 hours, maximum 3 hours to review your 130 pages of notes. And you'll have more than that, max. Once you've done your 3 hours, you know, well, I don't want to cap you to 3 because some of you like really may need to do a proper review. Maybe you're not ready to go to level 3 yet. That's definitely possible, especially if you didn't hire any of my tutors. Like if you didn't hire us, like we didn't manage your progress and manage it. Or if you didn't hire a tutor period, or maybe you did, but they just kind of like you worked your way through here. Like, yeah, maybe you do need to go back actually. I don't want to cap you to 3 hours because yeah, actually I don't want to cap you to 3 hours. You need to use your own self-awareness to figure out like how much time do you have to spend on the review here. Um, Maybe a good way to do it is start with 3 hours of review, spread it out, not all in one sitting, like spread it out. It's okay. Maybe you take 1 hour today, 2 hours another day, 1 hour today, 1 hour tomorrow, 1 hour Friday, like whatever you want. Um, do 3 hours, then move on to level 3. Keep moving forward. But if you find yourself getting stuck a lot because you've missed so much, you've missed something really key from level 2, maybe that's an indication you have to go backwards before you move forward. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let's wrap this up here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your attention. I'm Azren the Language Nerd, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds. We teach a wide variety of foreign languages to people of all ages and all levels of fluency. If you're trying to learn a language and we teach the language you're trying to learn, we would love to work with you, assuming we're taking new students. Visit azrinthelanguagenerd.com/free course to access all of the everything for this free course here and view the homepage. And of course, if you'd like to sign up for any of our paid services. And yeah, let's wrap it up here. I'll see you in level 3. Bye bye.